Hey everyone, and welcome back to Harry Potter Theory, where we dive deep into the magical world of Harry Potter, uncovering the secrets, stories, and mysteries that J.K. Rowling weaved into one of the most beloved sagas of all time. Today, we're stepping into one of the most infamous roles at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, a position cursed by none other than he who must not be named himself. That's right, we're talking about the Defense Against the Dark Arts Professor, a role that has seen more turnover than a Quidditch match with the Weasley twins. But how do these professors stack up? Who was the absolute worst at teaching young witches and wizards to defend themselves against the forces of evil? And who was the best, making a lasting impact that shaped the future of Hogwarts itself?
What are you doing?
From dark wizards to ministry stooges to the most beloved teacher of them all, today, we're ranking every defense against the dark arts professor from worst to best. You'll want to stick around till the end to see if your favorite comes out on top, and feel free to let me know if you agree with my rankings in the comments below.
I'm here across classrooms!
All right, wands at the ready, let's begin. Worst, Amycus Carrow. At the very bottom of our list is a name that even the bravest Gryffindor shudders to hear, Amycus Carrow. During the darkest year of Hogwarts' history, after the Ministry fell in 1997, Amycus was appointed as the new Defense Against the Dark Arts Professor. However, there was one major problem. He didn't teach defense at all. Instead of preparing students to defend against dark magic, Amycus twisted the curriculum into an oppressive, fear-driven nightmare, forcing students to study and practice dark arts. Torture, cruelty, and fear became the classroom's hallmarks. He wasn't just a poor teacher. He was a sadistic figure who used his authority to intimidate and abuse students, often encouraging students to use the Cruciatus Curse on one another as punishment. Worst of all, his negligence in teaching dark spells properly led to disastrous consequences, like when Vincent Crabbe ended up killing himself with Fiendfire, a spell he wasn't remotely prepared to handle. Amycus Carrow wasn't just the worst professor. He was a dangerous, malevolent force, corrupting the very essence of education at Hogwarts during his tenure. Dolores Umbridge. Next up, we have a name that surely needs no introduction.
I wish to welcome our new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, Professor Dolores Umbridge.
Dolores Jane Umbridge. Sweet as sugar on the outside, but rotting to the core on the inside, Umbridge was sent by the Ministry of Magic to ensure Hogwarts' curriculum was under the tight control of Cornelius Fudge. And what did she teach? Theoretical nonsense. Umbridge outright refused to teach students anything useful, denying the return of Lord Voldemort and insisting on textbook theory that left students woefully unprepared for the dark times ahead. Any attempts to learn practical spells were swiftly shut down, and those who dared defy her faced her infamous blood quill, a punishment as cruel as it was sadistic. Instead of defending students from dark magic, Umbridge defended her fragile worldview with cruelty and lies. In the end, she left Hogwarts more terrified of her than any dark wizard, which is why she sits firmly among the worst of the worst. Quirinus Quirrell. Though not as cruel as Amycus or Umbridge, Professor Quirinus Quirrell wasn't exactly a paragon of competence. Constantly shaking, muttering, and fearful, Quirrell was far from a capable defense against the dark arts teacher. His nervous, jittery nature made it clear he lacked the confidence and authority needed to control a classroom, let alone prepare students to face dark magic. But behind his stammering exterior, he was hiding something far more sinister. Lord Voldemort. Yes, the Dark Lord himself had attached himself to Quirrell like a parasite, feeding off the professor's body and mind. Quirrell, once an ambitious academic who sought knowledge on his sabbatical, had been manipulated and broken by Voldemort's influence.
Tell the truth! What do you see?
While Quirrell had some theoretical knowledge of defensive magic, he was ultimately a puppet for Voldemort's ambitions, more focused on helping his master regain strength than on teaching Hogwarts students anything useful. By the end of the school year, his failure to resist Voldemort's control sealed his fate and left his students none the wiser on how to defend themselves against dark forces, as he was distracted and compromised the entire time. His downfall was inevitable, and his tenure marked by fear and incompetence. Gilderoy Lockhart. Oh, Gilderoy Lockhart. What can be said about the man who managed to convince the entire wizarding world he was a hero, when in fact, he was a fraud? Lockhart strutted into Hogwarts with a dazzling smile, a collection of best-selling books, and a reputation for dealing with all manner of dark creatures.
See what you make of them.
But behind the facade, Lockhart had no idea what he was doing. He had erased the memories of real heroes and claimed their achievements as his own. And when it came time to teach the students, well, let's just say that he spent more time signing autographs than actually teaching defense spells. Still, there is one silver lining. Lockhart taught us one invaluable lesson: how not to be a teacher. Dumbledore's decision to hire him may have been reckless, but in Dumbledore's own words, there is plenty to be learned from a bad teacher, and, well, Lockhart certainly fit that bill. Alastor Mad-Eye Moody, but really Barty Crouch Jr. Now we're getting into the more effective professors, starting with a complicated entry. Alastor Mad-Eye Moody, except it wasn't really him, was it?
Wouldn't even bother telling you what's in there.
In the fourth book, the notorious ex-Auror was kidnapped and impersonated by none other than Death Eater Barty Crouch Jr. under the influence of Polyjuice Potion. Strangely, despite being a villain in disguise, Barty Crouch Jr. did a surprisingly decent job teaching defense. He introduced students to the unforgivable curses, giving them vital knowledge on some of the darkest spells in existence. Though his methods were extreme, there's no denying that students walked away from his classes better prepared for what was coming. Of course, it's hard to overlook the fact that he was a Death Eater bent on returning Voldemort to power. But even so, in terms of sheer competence as a teacher, Moody deserves a spot higher on the list than the likes of Lockhart and Quirrell. Severus Snape. Now we come to Professor Severus Snape, a man with a vast knowledge of both defensive magic and the dark arts. Snape had long coveted the role of Defense Against the Dark Arts professor, and in his final year at Hogwarts, he finally got the chance to teach it. Snape was undoubtedly one of the most skilled and formidable wizards to ever teach at Hogwarts. His knowledge of both defensive magic and the dark arts was unparalleled, and students who paid attention in his class left with a deeper, more intricate understanding of magic than they could have obtained from almost any other professor. He had the ability to blend his extensive expertise in dark magic with the defensive skills needed to combat it, which made him an invaluable resource for students eager to learn. However, Snape's personality often overshadowed his brilliance. His cold, distant demeanor made it difficult for students to truly connect with him, and his favoritism towards Slytherins bred resentment among others, especially Gryffindors. His harsh teaching style and sharp criticism meant only the strongest-willed students thrived under his instruction. Still, there's no denying that Snape was a highly effective and knowledgeable teacher, even if his methods weren't always appreciated or understood during his tenure. His legacy as a teacher remains complex, shaped by his brilliance, his secrecy, and his dark past. Best, Remus Lupin. Finally, we arrive at the best defense against the dark arts professor Hogwarts ever had, Remus Lupin. Compassionate, intelligent, and patient, Lupin had the perfect balance of theoretical knowledge and practical skills, making him an exceptional teacher.
Ridiculous. Very good.
He genuinely cared about his students, and his lessons were engaging, insightful, and, most importantly, fun. Under Lupin's guidance, students learned critical defensive spells, including how to defend themselves against boggarts and dementors. He was also the one who taught Harry Potter how to cast a Patronus.
Expecto Patronum!
A spell that would save Harry's life multiple times throughout the series. Lupin was not only an effective teacher, but a role model, proving that even someone with a dark secret, being a werewolf, could inspire hope and resilience in others. If it weren't for the prejudice against werewolves, Lupin might have stayed at Hogwarts far longer, and there's no doubt that his influence on the students would have changed the course of the wizarding world. And there you have it. Every defense against the dark arts professor ranked from worst to best. Whether they were cruel, cowardly, or heroic, each of these teachers left a lasting impression on Hogwarts, and on the story we all know and love. Do you agree with my rankings? Which professor do you think had the greatest impact on Hogwarts students, and why? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the magical world of Harry Potter. Until next time, remember, it is not the number of followers, but the quality of one's convictions that leads to success.